before this video starts. We are going to be touching on things that have to do with mental illness and just like that kind of journey in general. And so this is just a warning saying that those who are easily triggered, those who are easily triggered by these subjects, please be warned. We don't touch on anything like super in detail, but this is the gist of what is being talked about, because the poems in this video are all geared towards mental health and things like that, and struggling with that and figuring yourself out. So that's just a warning, but I hope you enjoy the video. Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to today's video, which I'm super excited about. It's definitely a little bit different from what I usually do, but there's still gonna involve some art and that's creative and stuff like that. And the topic of today's video is this book right here, Beyond the Fog and Darkness, Poems for the Crestfallen. This is a book of poetry, which recently I've been really getting into, by Aurelia Ellsworth. Aurelia Ellsworth was actually one of my neighbors growing up, and I'm still in contact with her. She's super cool, and she published this book with her poems in it. And she asked me to talk about it on my YouTube channel, and I've decided that this kind of thing will be a reoccurring thing on my channel because I absolutely love this book. This book is divided into two sections. The first section is Poems of Understanding and Comfort, and then the second section is called Poems of Spiritual Healing. I have read through all of these poems, and my favorite thing about poetry is annotating it and analyzing it, interpreting it for me personally. I have not gotten the chance to annotate, oh my gosh, I can't speak, annotate every poem, but I will. And I thought the perfect way to start, of course, was with the first poem in the book, which is My Dark Little Secret. I'm really excited because look at this. It's like 4th of July in here. I'm gonna read it, but not just plainly read it. I'm gonna read it like spoken poetry. And if you don't know what spoken poetry is, it's basically this whole community of reading poems, except you read it in a certain way and to convey emotion and convey feelings in the people listening. And that's what a lot of these annotations are, is how I would read it. And so that's what I'm going to do for you. And I might do like a fun little recording thingy over it because I can. And then I'm going to talk about it a little bit and how I connected to it. And then we'll have a little visit from the author. People are always surprised to learn that someone struggles with mental illness. After all, you look and act just like everyone else. How can you struggle with that? And let's be honest, if you're telling the truth, you brought it onto yourself, so you must like it. Must I? And you honestly think that I like this? Not knowing what's real from second to second, minute to minute, day to day, constantly feeling like I'm being suffocated and feeling fear, despair, and paranoia that a person can barely imagine, much less handle? Being so terrified of what's in my head that I'd rather fall asleep and never wake up than have to deal with this another day? You think I like this? I hate this, and I certainly didn't ask for this. Well, if you were telling the truth, you would have said something sooner. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was a time frame in which you had to admit something in order for it to be true. And don't sputter all that about you just have to choose happiness, because guess what? It's rarely that easy. You honestly think that I wouldn't have done it by now if it was? But surely you know it's all in your head. It can't actually hurt you. Oh, believe me, I know it's in my head, but why or how does that make it any less real? The voices in my head, the things I have to live and deal with on a daily basis, finding the motivation to pull myself out of bed, to get dressed, to leave my room and go to school, or church, or anywhere. And for what? To have someone tell me how I'm supposed to feel. Put on a brave face, they tell me. Never tell anyone what's actually going on, or even better, from the people in the outer world. How can you feel that way? There are a lot of people who are worse off than you are. You think I don't know that? I feel it every single day. I honestly don't know what's worse. The fact that I feel like this, or the feeling of knowing that I don't deserve to. But that is what I live with. That is what I fight every single day. That is my dark little secret. I hope that was a good reading. I hope you approved of my little spoken poetry moment there. I want to talk about some of my favorite points of this poem. This poem was actually kind of difficult for me to write annotations to, mainly because there's a lot of emotion in this poem, and it was kind of hard for me to pinpoint certain things because of the amount of emotion and how much I related to this. One of my favorite part of the entire poem is just embodies how depression feels, and I'm emotionally connected to this part because I know exactly what it feels like to not want to get out of my bed. Physically not being able to move is terrifying. And then the part where it says, "and for what?" I made it sound like I was pleading, and I made it sound small because that's what it feels like. You feel small, you feel insignificant. Just those 3 words, "and for what," really hit me, because why would I want to pull myself out of bed when someone I know or deeply care about tells me I don't know myself, or telling me how I feel and how my mind works when they are not me? And some of my little annotations for when I was reading it, I just put "help" and "pour your struggles" into these words. One other part says, "constantly feeling like I'm being suffocated." Yes. When I was struggling a lot mentally, I actually wrote a song on the piano about feeling suffocated. It doesn't actually have a name, it literally just says "song about breathing," because I have both physical and mental issues. I have asthma, and I have depression, anxiety, and things like that. The chorus is, "then I scream that I can't breathe no more, just set me free, everything is closing in, I just want to feel free again." It's not a completed song, but those are the words, and that's what the part reminded me of when it said feeling suffocated. And I think that's all I'm going to talk about for my dark little secret. And now we're going to have a little talk about this poem with the author, Aurelia. So let's get to that. Hi! That's annoying. Phone is stupid. This is a whole thing! This is a process! This is Aurelia, the author of this book here. Do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself, I guess? So then they kind of know who you are.
So, of course, as stated, my name is Aurelia. I am 23 years old. So I have been writing with the intent to publish for 5 years. I actually started on this book when I was 19 or 20. Besides writing, I am pursuing a career in theater. I actually make my acting debut in August. Tea is my thing.
Alrighty, so I have already recorded some of me talking about my dark little secret. Before I got on this call with you, I read it with my fun spoken poetry techniques, and I talked about some of the points, but I wanted to talk to you about why you wrote my dark little secret and the meaning to you of that poem.
Okay, so my dark little secret, along with all the other poems in the book, are based off my own personal experiences with mental illness, things that people have said to me, things that I wish I had known. This book, especially the poems that we're going to be discussing today, are the things that I wish somebody had said to me when I was first diagnosed with mental illness at the age of 17. I knew that there was something that I didn't know how to explain, and we were talking about, was it yesterday that we were talking about this? How the quotes, the things in quotation marks in the book are things that people have said to me. And so this poem is kind of just my response to the common misconceptions and the things that people have said to me. One of the poems that I wrote here, I wrote when I was 17. I had just been diagnosed with schizophrenia like a couple months earlier. These poems are everything that they're basically the guidebook that I wish I had navigating all of this when I was that age. But I've always thought to myself, if I can help one person through my own experiences, help them to understand, feel a little less alone, a little more understood, it'll be worth it.
And the part that I recorded before this, I explained how it's divided into two sections of poems of understanding and comfort and poems of spiritual healing. Aurelia's suggestion was that I pick one from each section. So we did My Dark Little Secret, which is the first poem in the book, and the one in the first section. And then the second one, we chose one called My Son Was Broken Too. And look at colors!
I feel so special!
I've only practiced this one like twice, so we'll see how well I can read my annotations. Here we go. I knelt down on my knees today with tears flooding down my face. I felt so hopeless, so broken inside, so impure and unloved. I asked him, Father, am I cherished, even though I am shattered inside? And what of my sins and shortcomings, I ask? Why do you love me when I always fall short? I seek for his answers, but cannot find them. I plead in despair for his grace. As the pain inside grows stronger, I plead to him all the more. Father, am I truly loved despite all my sadness and scars? And just as the darkness begins to set in, I hear these gentle words. My child, I hear him whisper, I don't love you in spite of your flaws. I love you because you are mine, and that will never change. I love you because you are broken. I don't judge you for all of your scars, for one greater than you has them too. I don't understand, I answer. Help me to know what you mean. Then, with love in his voice, he whispers, with a gentleness only he could have. Have you forgotten, my precious child? My son was broken too.
Well done.
Thank you. So, let's talk about this poem and the meaning of it. You go first because I have things to share, but you go first because it's your poem.
Okay, so this was actually none of the final 6 or 7 poems in the book were written for this book. This was one that I'd written, no intention of sharing it with anybody. There's actually a really incredible story behind this poem. I'm no longer a Christian, but at the time that I wrote this poem, I was serving as a missionary. There was one day where, exactly like it said in the first 2 lines, I felt lost. I felt broken. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I knelt down on my knees pleading. And that poem is basically a more formatted version of a conversation that I had with God. I remember sitting on my patio swing in my mom's backyard, and all I wanted was to feel like someone was proud of me. I was reaching out for something. Those answers that I received in response were not necessarily what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear.
Yeah, and it's got my favorite lines ever in this poem. I love you because you are mine. I love you because you are broken. The first time I read this poem, and I was reading it and, relating to it because mood. I literally, one of my annotations at the very first part, I put a bracket, and I literally just put mood. Anyway, and as I was reading it, I was like, yeah. And then when I got to the very last line, this is, have you forgotten, my precious child, my son was broken too. That hit me, in the chest, was boom. And I just kind of, stopped and sat there, and that's when I texted you. I was like, I just read this, and it really hit me, because, it's one of those things where but then when it's pointed out, then you're like, oh, wait, yeah, you're right. Along with the lines that says, I love you because you are mine, I love you because you're broken. I wrote a little thing down here. It says, once I finally figured myself out, those lines set into my brain, and it made so much sense. It finally clicked, and it was like, yes, he loves me because I am broken.
So, although we've discussed both, how do you think they met together?
I feel like my dark little secret is very much like kind of the world. So like what people are telling you, what you think of yourself, how you're interpreting what these people are saying. And then I feel like my son is broken too, takes all that and brings it to God. This is God's perspective on this, but then my dark little secret is people's mortal like perspectives on how you are.
When I had the thought to suggest that you cover these two poems, the main things that came to my mind was dark little secret, God sees in secret.
Ah, I like that. I think that is going to be all we have time for, though. Unfortunately, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do this again, most definitely, but also I don't want the video to be like 30 minutes long. I'm so glad that I was able to talk to you and you can be featured and we can talk about this. We will definitely be doing this again.
It is an honor for me to be able to have the conversation with you.
And I'm going to do more promo for you and you can buy this book on Amazon! Do it! Anyway, I love you so much, Aurelia, and thank you for sending me your book.
Of course.
And I will see you another day.
Bye.
Bye. I just want to thank you all so much for watching. This video was a lot of work, but I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. And this drawing is available on my website now. I will also make prints available as well. And as always, I hope you have a fantabulous rest of your day. Bye!